Bonus episode of How to Survive Until You're Published. Tips on Getting Through Writer's Block with Alison Gervais.
Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of How to Survive Until You Publish the podcast. Because if you're drowning in words, so are we, and you might as well not do it alone. We are here with Alison, and we are going to do a speed round of different ideas for overcoming writer's block that people have sent in or we've heard people talk about. So just start us off, one was go for a walk. We kind of already talked about that in the main episode that Alison was on.
And I will say it again, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Walks are awesome. Okay, next one, read something. What do you guys think about that?
For me, it probably depends on what I'm trying to write about. But if, like, let's say you're working on a historical fiction piece and you need more background info, yeah, absolutely read something. Get a hold of a primary source and have at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I even like that for fantasy because sometimes there are familiar tropes in fantasies, or I don't know, maybe there's an aspect like, I don't know, Shadow and Bone. I really loved how the fold and this geographic feature is so crucial to the story. So it's like, what would a fantasy world be like where that's the main, or one of the main plot devices, right? Something to do with the world.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like reading in your genre, like I'm always like, okay, what kind of tropes am I using? What's the relation? Because I'm a character driven, so like, what's the relationship between my characters? And then I go to see if I can find a book that's similar to that, and then just read it and build ideas from it.
I like that.
Okay, another one's write a scene I know in my head and I'm excited to write. That one is probably one of my favorites because I kind of pick scenes that I write in my head before I go to bed at night. Because like my brain does not stop running. It just doesn't. And I lay down in bed and I usually pass out within like 5 or 10 minutes, but I still have a scene. I still have a scene. And so I'll just start writing the scene and that usually puts me to sleep pretty quick.
So do you have like your laptop out in bed? Are you writing by hand or are you typing it on your phone?
Just thinking about it in my head. That's what I usually do. But I did that a lot. Yeah, I did that a lot as a kid. I used to write full like chapters in my head, just with words in my head while like on road trips. I would like stare out the window and just my family's like, what's wrong with Amy? Like, what's going on over there? And I'm just like in my head writing these books. And yeah, I'm a weird kid. It's fine.
No, that's awesome. I love learning about other writers' processes. That's different for everyone.
Yeah. I like that because I'm an outliner, but I also don't like writing chronologically. So if I know a key plot point that I'm actually excited to write about, sometimes switching it up is good. It means I have to go back and edit a lot to piece it together because it is just like this haphazard mess that doesn't actually, it's not always cohesive, but yeah, I like that.
This one here says, pursue other hobbies. So for me, I don't really have any other hobbies. And that's mostly because I have 2 small children. So my girls are my hobby because it is hard enough trying to get the time to write to begin with. So if I find the time where my kids aren't whining, I guess that's their favorite thing right now is to whine about everything. I'm gonna go hide somewhere and write.
Yeah, I love that.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's fair. It's completely fair. Maybe even like a hobby that you currently have. Just make time for it, I don't know. Reset your mind a little with something else that's creative.
I do like coloring. Coloring is so much fun. I'll have to find some time to color.
Yeah, coloring.
Maybe that will like help you process writer's block. I don't know.
Maybe, good.
I think maybe they meant with this one too, like finding a hobby that you could do where you're, I don't know, because I've heard from other people, not necessarily this like short little thing, but finding something that you don't have to use your brain for. So maybe like a hobby like that. Yeah, like coloring. Or like knitting or something, so you can like think about your story still while you're doing it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try that.
It's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like this one. Oh, reread something I wrote that I loved.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's such a good one. I've done that before. It gets me so hyped. I'm like, look at it, and I'm like, I'm a good writer. There was one time I wrote this awesome scene between my two main characters that I thought was so cute, and I gave it to my sister-in-law, and I was like so excited. And she was like, oh yeah, that's really nice. And in my mind, I'm like, but you know, you have to be proud of yourself, you know? Okay, let's do the next one. Write a scene I don't care about. What do you guys think about that? I'll let you guys go first.
Yeah. You don't care about like a scene you don't want to write. You're like dreading it. You don't really care about it.
Maybe.
So my thought was that it's just something totally separate, totally different, and you can just kind of do whatever you want with it. And just, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just like a scene. You're not like, you have to get perfect. You can just write it. So like, it's kind of like just taking like a simple writing prompt, you know, talk about Sally who met Greg at the grocery store, you know, I don't know.
Like something not necessarily related to your manuscript, just to get like the creative mindset flowing.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I think of it. Yeah,
I get that. I used to do like those little writing prompts, like you were talking about, in one of the writing classes that I took in college. And I remember there was this one-liner that they put on the board, and I remember thinking, this is so bizarre. Like, what am I going to do with this? And I ended up turning that one line into the short story about a guy who matches with a witch on Tinder. And like,
I love that. That's great.
Like adventures figuring out, like, oh my gosh, this is like 21st century dating, but I'm dating a witch. Oh my god.
It's like Bewitched.
That one for me.
You know.
That's fun.
But yeah, when you explain it that way, that's a good one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Otherwise, I was like, I don't know, because like you should care about each scene in your manuscript because it should be very intentional. So,
but like, I mean, also it's good to kind of like, for example, if I wanted to explore my characters a little bit, I could like take one of my main characters and just like write about a daily task that they do that I probably wouldn't mention in my manuscript, and just kind of like explain what happens about them. This is also like really random too, but kind of along the same lines. I was thinking about it the other day about certain habits that I have. I thought about, how would my character do this? You know? And so like, you know, kind of thinking about and maybe writing those just as practice, just as kind of getting yourself out of your head and just saying, I can delete this if I want, or, you know, I can light it on fire. That's fine. You know, just kind of, it doesn't matter. Just kind of do it, you know, put it out there.
yeah, I guess I could get behind that. Yeah. It kind of ties back to something you said in like the actual episode, Allison, about writing scenes from a different character's POV, because I think it can give you perspective on your story.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is very true.
That's huge. I've never done that actually, and I totally need to.
You should definitely give it a try. Here's what happened.
Yeah, Megan gave me an idea to take two of my characters and make them like the protagonists, because I do dual POV. That's kind of like how I roll, and so I was like, oh my gosh, Megan's just like blowing my mind over here.
Hey, you've done that with my stories before too. I didn't realize my main character needed a love interest until it was like, oh man, what if you put in this? I was like, oh, that like actually makes the plot a lot better. But yeah.
See, and I'm like the romance, like, you know, cheerleader. I'm so weird about it. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I think there should be, this is gonna sound super cheesy, but I think there should be love in your writing, only because it can take a different like form. It doesn't have to be like a romantic type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
be like
It's like,
familial or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think it's just like a human relationship and like emotion that we all want to feel and be able to relate to. So I think it just brings another depth, whether it's romantic love or whether it is like friendship love or familial love, because there are so many different types of it. So it's like, it's an important thing to have, right?
yeah. Sarah Eden gave a class way back at Storymakers, like in 2017, where she talked about that. And I really want to like track down like some notes on that class, because she talks about how love is in every book. It's not always romantic love, but if you can build on it, it just brings out so many more emotions from your characters, and it can totally take a huge change.
That's awesome. Okay, let's do one more. Allison, do you want to pick?
Oh, okay. I'm looking here. There was one that I saw. Talk to someone else. Okay, I guess that. Or watch me. These are all really good. I guess talk to someone else, because you never know what can inspire you. So that's a good one. Talk to someone else. So I'm thinking there was in my second book, which is The Silence Between Us, where the main character is deaf, and I don't really think this is a spoiler, but the book's been out since 2019, so
If you haven't read it yet, no.
yeah,
Fair warning.
it's your own risk, if you will. But she gives this presentation in one of her classes about this event or protest that took place at Gallaudet, which is the first deaf university in the United States. And this was back in the 80s, and it was called Deaf President Now. And the reason that worked its way into the book was because at the time I was writing The Silence Between Us, I was working in deaf services, and a lot of the people that I would work with in similar agencies were deaf. And one person that I worked with frequently just told us the story about how he had gone down to DC to protest when this was happening, and just like the way that he was describing what it was like to be there with everyone, and just like that sense of unity they had was just like really powerful. And so I left that conversation thinking, okay, I have to put that in my book somehow. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be in there.
I love that.
And it made it an illusion. So you never know. You really never know what talking to someone can make you think of. Surprise yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I totally can attest to that, mostly because I've got Megan. she's the one that pulls my story out of when it's stuck in a hole, because it gets stuck a lot.
You should give yourself more credit.
I know, yeah, it's there. But yeah, I feel like I've redone my characters like 4 times now, but every time I get back in there, I'm like, okay, I'm restarting. Megan's like, okay, yeah, let's rethink this. And it's just helpful. It's just really nice to have somebody else to just kind of bounce it off. And I'm also I learn as I talk. That's kind of what I tell my husband. I learn as I talk. And so just talking it out to somebody is like just very helpful, because it helps me think through things out loud, kind of get it out in a different space than just in my head. So
I do like, though, Allison, how you said that it wasn't like even a conversation focused on your writing per se, or like focused, just between writers even. It was just an everyday conversation that they were talking about that had such power that like really inspired you and helped you find something. So I think it's, just even everyday conversations, looking for those. Okay. Well, I think a lot of the other ones are really good that we didn't get time to, but we can post a list of all the different writer's block tips we have, and if anyone else has any, you should definitely send them to us, and maybe we'll talk about them more, or maybe we'll just throw them out there into social media. Thanks again, Allison.
Thank you.
okay.
Because if you're drowning in words, so are we, and you might as well not do it alone.